Alright, here we are at Winthrop Lake Front today. First hole is 224 feet. I'm using my EMAC Truth. It's a pretty much straight shot down to the pin. Nothing too difficult, just got to watch out for the trees. And I managed to get it above a low-hanging branch, but right through the leaves. My second shot was completely not recorded, unfortunately. So I ended up laying up, and basically a tap-in par there. Moving over to hole 2. It is a 241-foot par 3. Teeing off with my Fuji. So what I'm going for here is just a straight shot for the most part with a little ante. And just completely botch it here. It's not that difficult of a hole here, and I just come off with this slight hyzer, and that disc naturally is going to just tail out to the right and end up in a bamboo patch. So here I am. I found it hanging out in some kudzu, and I've got to stretch out pretty far just to get a picture on the basket there in the background. It's a little washed out in the video, but you may be able to see it. So a little sidearm action here, and about the best I can expect out of that. In about 5 to 7 feet short of the basket. A little uphill putt, but it's not too difficult. And in there for par. Moving on to hole 3. It is a 293-foot par 3. Pretty straight, just kind of watch out for this first tree. And for me personally, I need to kind of navigate that left tree that's in the kind of center of the fairway. And I catch a lucky break right there. I end up tapping that tree. How, I don't know. My disc, you can't see it because my body is in the way. Kind of goes around that big tree in the center, and end up pretty close to the basket. And looking at about a 20-footer for par, or for birdie. And yeah, I don't know what happened there. Like completely, like 6 feet to the left. Like I have no clue what happened there. Which then is kind of flustering me in the process. And go for my second putt and just clip the band. Not real happy about that. Coming up to my fourth shot here. Already staring down the barrel of a bogey, and hit the band again. So now we're going for fifth shot. In for double bogey. Wah wah wah. And the blue disc just does not want to go in the basket at all. Coming up to hole 4, it is a 278-foot par 3. We've got to navigate a couple trees left and right, and a parking lot with some cars in it. So try not to hit those. I'm teeing off with my Vulture from Discraft. Throw a little ante on this, and I just get it mixed up in some trees, the leaves, and just come up short. Wasn't in any bad shape. For my second shot, I'm using my Maiden from Westside Discs. My apologies. End up right near the mozzarella sticks, and should have a pretty easy par here. Nice. Made it in for par. Moving over to hole 5. It is a 349 par 3. This was hole 1 at the 2019 US DGC. And this hole has always given me a hard time. I'll either use an understable disc like right now and shortchange it like I did, or I'll use a stable disc and just have a ridiculous amount of anhyzer on it and just screw it up. That disc ended up in the trees as you see me going into the forest. So shot 2 was a stroke penalty. I do not pull myself out to the tree line. I take it where it lies, but still gave myself a penalty. And locating my disc, getting ready to throw. You can barely see me back in there. And hit the first available tree. Gotta love it. So I move up, use the disc again. I did place down a disc in front of it as a marker. Throw it out, and that was my Discraft zone coming out of the forest finally. So we are already 3 shots in, 4 when you count the drop, and in for double bogey. There we go, cleaning it up so good, let me tell you. Over to hole 6, we have a 315 foot par 3. A lot of low-hanging branches in the beginning, and then it's an uphill drive as well, so that makes that window very, very small. I'm using my Discraft Sting here, which is an understable fairway driver. My goal here was to kind of ride the right-hand line of the trees, and since I know it was understable, I knew that disc would flip and start coming left, and I just couldn't get enough on it. So coming up to my second shot here, I grab my west side maiden, and I've got a nice little distance, a little stick in the way. Clearing some footing here, just a nice soft fan grip on here, and kind of just lining everything up. And I really wish that I would have moved out of the way, because this was a pretty flight. This disc came off a little ante, and just after it came out of it, like pulled itself out of the ante, just flew straight, and you could hear it ting the pole in the background, and I was so happy with that shot. On to hole 7. So we got a 304 foot par 3. And I'm using my Dynamic Discs Patrol, and I got exactly the flight that I was looking at of that, but I needed to start that disc off more to the right than where I did, but unfortunately kind of screwed that up. So I grabbed my maiden. My goal here is to try and just get it around this tree, but that didn't happen. You see me, I'm just trying to like figure out what I'm gonna do. Like, oh, maybe I'll go over it. No, I'm like right up against these trees, so I just toss it out there, gave it way too much, and just went to the other side, and I've got to do the same thing all over again. So I have to lean out. I think I've got my zone here because I can always trust that one. I just get a nice little short shot, low to the ground, let it just slide up to the basket, and grab my Fierce as my putter. That's what I've been using lately, and just toss it in there for a bogey. Barely making it, coming off the band. Moving to hole 8, we have a 289 par 3. I grabbed my Discraft Vulture on this one, and give it a nice solid throw. I'm just trying to get it in that gap down the between the left side tree line and those one tree that's kind of close to me here. I thought when I parked my cart, I thought it was closer to the basket, and then I walked down and saw where my disc was. I'm like, yeah, I'm not moving my cart. So, but have I'd probably say like a 60-footer here this time. I think I just grabbed my maiden, and I was just doing a jump putt, just trying to get it up there, and I think I actually come pretty close. If I would have had a little more height on it, at least I would have been talking with the chains. But not bad for a second shot, as we just jog up there real quick, toss the Vulture into the basket, in for par. Yes, par. Here we are at hole 9. This is a 276 foot par 3. I think I'm using my Fuji here, if I remember right. If I saw what I was throwing there. It came out pretty good. I was just a little lazy on the throw. The line was good. But just, wow, I guess the second shot didn't record here. So I ended up blowing by the basket on my second shot. And in for the third. Awesome. So to finish out the front 9 being 4 over. No, 2, 4, 5 over. Here we got hole 10, 449 foot, par 3. I think I'm using my Captain here, or maybe my Freedom. Yeah, it was my Captain. I made sure to put a little bit of ante on it. And I get it out by that bush out there in the middle of the pasture. I think I grab my zone here and then second guess the choice. No, I don't. I just go ahead and throw the zone. And I throw it very badly, actually. So a great first shot, just trashed by a horrible second shot. Lining up the putt with that Discrest Fierce. Really like the plastic of the Fierce. Miss it left by like 2 discs width. Walk over, not happy with myself. Throw the zone on the ground. I grab my second Fierce out of my putter pouch. In for bogey. Moving on to hole 11. This is a 351 foot par 3, also known as the beach hole during USDGC Gold. Teeing off with my Captain by Dynamic Discs. And I've let this one go like you wouldn't believe, and it just anteed and kept anteing and ended up in the water. And you'll probably hear me complain about that.
Out of bounds, right where the stick is. So 1-stroke penalty.
Yep.
Taking it from where the stick's at.
Yeah, this was not an easy shot here because my feet are at an angle, and I've got a nice fan grip on the maiden, but it's not an easy throw here because the ground is not all that solid feeling, and I think I just shortchanged this one pretty bad.
Like this.
Yeah, and then I'm complaining about my feet, so there's that. So we are 4 shots in at this point, or this is my 4th shot coming up, and just not high enough. I mean, if you go back and slowly check that out, it was just released from about waist height. I just grab the maiden, toss it in there. We're in for a double bogey. Not the best I've ever done on that hole. Moving on to hole 12. This is also the bamboo hole at USDGC. Mando is a triple Mando, left, right, and under, and teeing off with the Fuji. I get the right line. It's just I get the right disc behavior, honestly, but I needed to be about another 10 feet to the left on release. I blew past the gate, so now I've got to flip it through the mandatory. I'm using my zone, and I get it in there. Grab up the Fuji, head back to the cart, grab a putter, and try and get in there for 3. But kind of like the hole 11, I think I do the same thing here as I did on that one. No, I was just left. Story of the day here is just to keep being left. So that was my third shot. Going into my fourth. In there for bogey. Moving on to hole 13. Using my dynamic discs. Freedom. And that thing is freedom. It is a tie-dye red, white, and blue. Love that disc. I was actually just trying to get a little ante on this, and I early release it and put it way on the right hand side tree line. It was a good decent throw, but anyway, I don't think I'd said the distance on this one. Hole 13, it's a 373 par 3. So we're at my second shot. I'm using the maiden here, if I'm not mistaken. It looks like the maiden. Yep, just kind of getting ready. Got the fan grip going. Nice little soft toss with the maiden. And I think I put it fairly close, within like 10 feet. Okay, maybe I'm closer to 15. So I grabbed my Fierce out of the bag. It seemed like my Fierces today had personalities and barely in there for par. So my red Fierce looked like it seemed to behave better in the sunlight, and my blue one seemed to behave better in the shadows. So I guess couldn't be more fitting in the fact of blue being more kind of the color of shadows and red being more the color of light or warmth. So I got my freedom again here on hole 14, which is a 404 par 3. And
Okay, early release the first time I use it, grip lock the second.
and I grip lock it like you hear me complaining about, and I grip lock Annie that one, something fierce. I'm way over on the left hand side. Grab the maiden, nice solid throw on it. It needed to be a little more left, but I blew past the mozzarella sticks. I've got like a 20-footer, and I think I blow left of the chains here, if I'm not mistaken. Yep, just left of the chains. So a little stretch out, get it in there for bogey. Moving on to hole 15. This is an uphill, like jungle tunnel shot. The basket's uphill and to the left. This is a 238 foot. I'm using my Discraft Sting, and I just jack it right into the first available wire trees. So I grab my zone here. This is the one where I make a swap. I'm like, you know, it's a little further than I think I can. Like, I'm comfortable with the zone. So stop what I'm doing, put the zone away, grab my Discraft drone. So basically it's the same damn disc, except for that one's just gonna fly a little bit further, and I just shortchange it low. If I would have had that one a little higher, that would have played perfect to where I was wanting. But not a horrible second shot. I've got a pretty good look for par here. I had something stuck on the bottom of my shoe. I'm like trying to clear it off. And just nick the band, blow past the basket again. I was getting, not eaten up, but I had walked through some like this little piece of vegetation that had some thorns on it and scratched my leg up. But we in there though, in for bogey. Moving on to hole 15. This one has always been or not hole 15, hole 16. This one's always been a pain in my rear end. This is a 202 downhill par 3. It is nothing but tunnel all the way, jungle everywhere. And I was just trying to keep this to left, down the left side of the path. Failed to do it. Put it in the jungle, and had to take a little 10-minute walk trying to find this thing buried in kudzu. So I barely find it. You can kind of see me off in the center of the screen to the right. I've got a general idea where the basket's at here, and I'm just trying to put it close. But from that position, I cannot see the basket at all. But I do come up a little short. Come back up, grab the cart, and then go find the disc one more time. So I ended up, like I said, not in too bad of a position. Since I'm in the shadows, I grabbed the Blue Fierce because, like I said, it just seemed to be the thing for the day. Take a few moments here to get my footing, trying to figure out how I want to attempt this, and do I want to just like keep my face like literally buried in these tree leaves, or do I want to try and like duck around, but I need to change up my stance, and then I just wham right into the band. Grab the maiden, proving that I can make that shot, and then hustle over, grab the maiden out of the bag or out of the basket, toss it back in because now it's a legal shot. Here we are, hole 17, the iconic hole 17 is a 249 par 3. I'm teeing off with my zone. And if I remember right, I do not get this in the height area that I want to get this, nor do I get this into the more. I wanted it more to the left, and that thing was lasered straight towards the basket. And if anybody knows, if you've ever thrown a zone, you know those things are going to dump out, and it dumped out. So I've got frickin' death putt from hell coming up. I use the zone here because I know it likes to get to the ground quick, and just bounce it around the pole, grab my putter, toss it in, we in there for par finally. And here we are, hole 18, 302 feet, par 3. I've got to navigate under this large tree, and I've got to miss these bushes on the left side of the lake. I'm going over those bushes with a Discraft Vulture, or no, West Side Giant. It hits the hill and flips up on its edge, rolls down, you can barely see it in the frame, and just continues to S curving all the way down to the lake's edge. And the guy in the back could watch that entire thing. He could see the disc rolling, yeah, and it rolled all the way down to the edge. I got so lucky that it did not roll in. I think I grabbed my zone here and just a quick little flick up. Get it up the hill and in there for par. So we end the day at plus 12 or 66. And yeah, thanks for joining me at Winthrop Lakefront.